Let's see. Can you hear me now? Is everybody having the same problem with no audio? I'm looking because, okay. All right. Maybe I had to add myself. Usually it doesn't matter, but we'll just leave it like this. Okay. So guess I'll have to regress and go back. So, one of the things that we definitely want to do as a technician, um, what am I going to do? I'm going to look at things before I start the ice maker cleaning area to bring it back into service for winterization where it's been winterized. Is the ice machine level? Those get unlevel sometimes. The ice machine wiring, is that properly done? Um, me as a technician, I wouldn't work on something that wasn't wired properly, because I'm the last person that touched it. Okay. So if anything happens, it all falls on me. I'm the one that they are going to come back and say, hey, why in the world did you go and not take care of this customer by letting them know that they have to have the proper wiring? Okay, great. So that's the second thing that I always looked for. The third thing that I checked, and I would ask the customer, um, has the ice maker water filter ever been changed? That needs to be changed depending on the place that you're at. I'm in the rural community right now. I'm on well water, so any ice maker that I have, I usually have to change it, about every 3 to 6 months, because of the well water. Where I'm at right now, actually, we have some. It taints the water orange, so you have to be very careful, and that will transfer into the ice and looks terrible in the ice. So then one of the other things is the ice machine draining properly? You're probably going to check this before and after, because if I have to pull this unit out, I'm going to make sure that whenever I push it back into the spot that it places that it goes, I am going to make sure that it drains properly. And by draining properly, I'm also going to check that there's no cracked or broken drain lines. Like I was telling before, whenever you couldn't hear me, I have worked for a company that for about 10 years, and that's all that we did was ice machines. We did well. That's all that I did. They had other things that they did, but I worked on ice machines and vending machines, and some of the vending machines actually had a drain line in them also. So if I have all of this, I have to make sure that I have the proper drainage, that stuff doesn't back up into the bin, because that's a huge no. And I've got to make sure that I don't have anything that's cracked or broken, because now it drains and it gets into the floor. And as a technician, I have now, no matter what somebody else has done, it now falls on me. Okay, so like I was saying, there are, a lot of manufacturers out there. There are, Scotsman has a little under the counter ice maker. It's called the DC33. It's the most popular brand. Uline actually had from Manitoba, and they're in Wisconsin. They have an ice machine. Uline has one that doesn't drain. All it is basically an ice machine that is just like an ice machine in the refrigerator. Okay. They also have regular ice machines that do have drain lines. But one of the things is you have to be able to look at it and be able to tell the customer and inform to them the best things that they can do. So that's a couple of the others. Another one is Whirlpool has one, and it sells under the Whirlpool, the KitchenAid. I think there's an Amana, and there's several of those. GE has their own also little ice maker that they do that I'm not a huge familiar with, but I'm going to ask these 4 questions whenever I'm walking to talking to the customer as I'm going to the unit. Okay, so the one thing that I've got to make sure that I know is where is the model and serial number on this unit. Okay, if I have a DC33, usually if I pull the toe plate on the very bottom, just like you do in your refrigerator, there's a label right there. If not, there usually is another one on the back side that's attached. But the problem with those is the same problem that we have with stuff. If the customer has any kind of issue like with a roach, roaches love to eat that little the glue off the back of that. So it may be difficult for me to find. If I have a Manitowoc, I pull the cover off the front, and they're right there in the bottom right hand side is a label. That's usually a pressed label, and the only time it gets bad is whenever somebody scratched it instead of using a cloth to clean off the model and serial number. Okay, so on the Manitowoc that we were just talking about, so like I said, the first thing that I do is I look for leveling. Okay, because if this ice maker is not level, it's going to pool water or it's just not going to drain. Okay, so after moving the ice machine into the area, okay, you must be leveled. Follow these steps to level the ice maker. They basically go without saying. I'm going to take a level and I'm going to put it on the inside of the ice machine, and I can check the level from front to back and from side to side. That will tell me if my ice machine's level and if it's going to drain properly. If the ice machine is not level, I'm going to have to adjust the leveling legs. Every single ice maker has leveling legs. So I am going to have to adjust those two, the front to back and the side to side. I don't want it to rock. It's got to be on a stable base, a concrete floor, a hardwood floor. It's got to be on something that doesn't move a lot. Okay, so I have to check the level. Like I said, after adjustment, I go back and I check the leveling again. Okay, so I keep doing this until I get the machine totally level. It should be not too bad if I am just going out and pulling it back out of winterization to run. But you would be surprised how many times that you have to go back out and you look at it and it's not. You start messing around with it and it gets out of level. Okay. So the second thing that we were talking about is the ice machine installed properly with the plug? It's either going to be hardwired in or there's going to be a plug that I'm going to use. Okay. So the one thing you have to remember, it doesn't matter which manufacturer it is, the ice machine has got to be grounded in accordance with national and local electrical codes. Those change. If you're in California, those change probably about as often as you change your socks, about every day. It seems like it's a bad problem. One of the things that you can never do is I can't have my ice machine on an extension cord. I have walked out and I have gone to a customer's house and they did have it on an extension cord. You can't have it on the extension cord because of the amperage that this ice machine draws. You run the risk of it melting and maybe having a house fire. So if if I am the technician, I am going to tell the customer, Miss Jones, Mr. Jones, I'm sorry, but I can't I can't work on this, or B, I'm going to advise on my service order right here and have you initial it that I was told you this and that you had to have this fixed. Okay. Again, CMA. Everybody, please cover yourself. Always make sure that you're doing everything you can to prevent you and the company from any liability issue. Okay, so what does that actually mean? One of the things that I tell everyone is, whenever I had my own company, I literally issued booties to every technician. I issued booties and I issued gloves. Whenever they went into the house, they were to put the booties on, and I had a pair of gloves so that once they walked in the house, put their gloves on, and then they're covered. And if the customer comes back and says, "Oh, they damaged my floor," I've got one of the other things that they had was they had skids that I used. I had one air sled. Didn't use it for ice makers, but I used that so I could set these on the legs, pull it out, and I didn't damage anything. Okay. Once again, I've got to be careful, and I'm not going to cause any issues for myself or the company. There's nothing worse being a manager, going to a customer that's already mad because somebody scratched their floor, they think, and then you get out there and I'm like, okay, Miss Jones, yes, ma'am, I've got pictures. I've got to get with the technician. I've got to get their side of the story, and I will call you back later on this afternoon. So, the only way to protect yourself as a technician, I used to tell my technicians daily. We had a meeting every morning before we left. Usually that was at about 6:30. Number one, now it's your phone. Take your camera with you and take pictures as you're walking into the home, making sure that you identify any damage that you see on the way in, and anything that's around the unit. I would take pictures. I had them take pictures all the way around the unit. That did save me a couple of times where the customers, said, "Oh, that was your technician damaged it." Well, the technician went in, took pictures, and I was able to go to the customer and go, "Well, I've got pictures that show that you were notified." He even wrote it on his ticket right here, and I can send you pictures of where he did it, and that he notified you and you initialed it. So I'm sorry, but I can't help you. That's the only way. I call it the CMA. I'm going to cover my butt. Okay. That's the only thing you can do, is to cover yourself and cover the company, to make sure that I have an issue. It never comes back to bite the company. Okay. So on a separate this Icemaker has got to be on a separate circuit breaker or fuse. For the ice machine itself, I need to disconnect means whenever I'm out in the field. So one of the things that we had, we used to have ice makers at hotels and motels, and you always had to go and try to find them if they were hardwired in. So one of the things that my boss had gotten to whenever I got there, they would make the customer pay for the electrician to come out and rewire it so that we had a plug. That's what you need to find is a plug. You're going to still have some that are hardwired. I have one that I have. The only old Icemaker that I have is hardwired, but that's mine. I know where the breaker is, and it's labeled ice machine, so I just flip it, and I know that I've got it good. Okay. So the electrical rating is used to help select the wire gauge. That's going to be something that the electrician had done, but you need to make sure if you come out there and they have a 12-2 wire and you're pulling 14, 20 amps, you need to make sure that this is rated for that. So if you have something that you have any questions about, just make sure that you note those down. Okay. My water supply. You guys are going to have to forgive me. I have moved back to Alabama, and it is now pollen season, and I'm surrounded by about 40 acres of pine trees. So, and I'm allergic to pine pollen. So if you can tell, I'm drinking more water or coffee right now, and so I apologize for that. Okay. So my water supply, I need a local water condition, may require treatment to inhibit scale, filter sediment, remove chlorine, improve taste and clarity. That's what a water filter is designed to do. If you come up and the unit is on an reverse osmosis system, you're going to have them take it off of the reverse osmosis system because it will never get the correct water supply. But that, like I said, we're talking right now about restarting the unit after I can't even spit it out, after a winterization has been done. But you think still, this is stuff that you need to be looking at whenever you're at the unit. Okay. Follow the guidelines to install the water inlets. Like I said, make sure that the filter's been changed recently. If the water pressure exceeds the maximum pressure, you may have to install a regulator for it. So always make sure that there's a water shutoff valve. If you don't, then you need to be talking to the customer about having either a plumber or yourself, if you're able to do that, install that so that you know where the shutoff is and can get to it. If I am there, the other thing that I may want to look at is, was this unit protected by having the water lines insulated? If this is like for the outside, I'm going to definitely have to have you can do one of two things. You can either insulate the water lines to prevent condensation. This is a real problem with a unit. They make a little thing that plugs into a 110 outlet that generates just a little bit of heat, so it helps with the condensation, and we don't have that problem as much. Okay. My drains, of course, I'm going to follow the guidelines. The one thing you've got to make sure that you do is that I have 1.5 inches of drop per 5 feet of line. Okay. So what does that mean? Simply means that I have got to have, if I have a foot of line, if I have 1 foot of line, if I have 5 feet of line for a drain, I've got to have it drop at least 1 inch. So it may be that if I don't have that, I may have to put a pump on it. And I have every unit that we had that was in a place that was actually in a building, we always put a pump on it. Now we may take and use that drain pump to push the water out and make sure that we have no leakage. That's one of the things that we made sure that we had. Once again, I need to, here's a perfect example. The city of Atlanta, which is where I worked whenever I'm talking about all of this. So we would get condensation that would happen. So we would have to insulate our lines, even the drain line, because whenever it's 100 degrees and I'm running cold water through it, I still am going to get a little condensation on the bottom. So you have to be careful with that. Okay. This is on this Manitowoc Icemaker. So if you look in the back, that shows you exactly how the drain is supposed to run. So that would be my 1 inch that would be coming out of there and going to the drain. And of course, I've got my my power cord right there that I'm going to have to install. So let's now get down to what we came for: interior cleaning and sanitizing. Okay, this takes me about 35 minutes if I have done this several times on this particular style ice maker. Okay. If not, I'm going to probably spend an hour out there because there's a lot of things that has to happen. Okay. So the manufacturer recommends that it's clean and sanitized every 6 months. Okay. That cuts down on any of the, and you're going to have to pardon me, I call it gunk. It's because that's exactly what it is gunk. Mold, mildew will grow. It's the perfect environment for an ice maker. Is the perfect environment for mold, mildew, little fuzz that grows in the water trough. If I have not winterized this unit properly, I'm going to come in and I can actually that's the reason you had gloves. Take and reach your glove hand in, lift it up, and you find gunk. That's the reason I call it gunk. It's a slime type thing that's in the water trough, and it is nasty. Okay, so the one thing is you can use any ice maker cleaner, but you have got to be sure that it is nickel safe ice machine cleaner. Every manufacturer recommends you to use their ice machine cleaner because that way they keep their self covered. So the part number for ice machine for a Manitowoc is 94-0546-3. That's for the ice machine cleaner. Then I also have to have a sanitizer. Okay, that is a 94-0565-3. Okay. Now, it tells you right there, according to Manitowoc, is a violation of federal law to use these solutions in a manner inconsistent with their labeling. So you have to read and understand the labels that are printed on the bottles before you use it. Okay. So ice machine cleaner is used to remove scale and mineral deposits. Ice machine sanitizer disinfects and removes algae and slime. And the slime is what I was talking about, that if you don't clean your ice machine properly and it sits there for 3 months, you've got slime everywhere. Okay. So the first thing that I do is I'm going to set the toggle switch to clean. First, I'll turn it off. If it's on, it shouldn't be on. You should be off anyway. So next I'm going to do is turn it to clean. There's a setting, and it says one is on and the other is clean. Okay, so one of the things I had on that very first picture that I had right here, if you look, one says ice and one says clean and one says off. So if I turn it to ice, this unit is going to try to make ice. my compressor will come on, and it will go ahead and try to make ice. Last thing I want to do is circulate slime all over my evaporators. Okay, so it's gonna be from the on position, the off position. So I'm gonna push it to the right on this one, and I will at that time it'll be starting to clean. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to turn it, like I said, to the off position. After the if any of that, we don't have to worry about it. I'm going to remove anything that was in the bin. Okay, if there's a scoop laying in there, I definitely going to remove it. The thing that used to drive me crazy, guys would go out there and just wouldn't pay any attention. Turn it to clean. Throw some chemicals in there. Let it start sanitizing everything else. And the Icemaker scoop used to be made out of I call it pot metal. It's just a little tinish type thing, and it would actually pit it. So you always had to keep an ice machine. You always had to make sure that you had removed the scoop. So I'm gonna start the cleaning cycle. I'm gonna move the toggle switch to the wash position, okay, which is the clean. Add the proper amount of Manitowoc ice machine cleaner to the water trough. Okay. Wait until the clean cycle is complete, approximately 22 minutes. Then switch the toggle switch to off. Disconnect the power and water supplies to the ice machine. Then I'm going to remove these following parts for cleaning. Okay. So I can still do things while I am waiting for this 22 minutes. This is why I'm telling you that the soonest that I can ever get this done is going to be at least 30 minutes. Okay. And it takes me, probably would take me an hour and a half to make sure that I had it totally properly cleaned now. Because I've been out of that business for probably about 25 years now. Okay. So I'm going to remove these following parts for cleaning. There are 2 thumb screws. So I'm going to remove those 2 thumb screws, and then the water pump cover. Okay. Whenever I go and remove these 2 thumb screws, I am going to almost guarantee you're going to have either algae, mold, mildew is going to be on the top of that cover. That cover loves mold and mildew. Okay. Remove the vinyl hose connecting the water pump to the distribution tube. I've got to clean all of this and sanitize this. This is the number one reason that people, if I'm doing this and I am on in a restaurant, which you're not probably going to have this problem with a restaurant because you're going to do this every time. But every 6 months, I've got to clean that. If I don't, the algae, the mold, the slime all build up in the area. And even on my door, I'll get slime. This is what fails restaurants a lot of the times. Okay. So I'm going to disconnect the power to the water pump by disconnecting the cord. You can see it right there. I'm going to loosen the screws securing the pump mounting bracket to the bulkhead. Then I'm going to lift the pump bracket and assembly off the mounting screws. Okay. I'm going to remove the ice thickness probe. Then I'm going to, the compressor side of the ice thickness probe near the top hinge, remove it from the bracket. I'm going to pinch those 2 sides on a Manitowoc. I'm going to pinch them together and I can remove that. I'm going to save that because I am going to have to sanitize that also. At this point, the ice thickness probe can easily be cleaned. If complete removal is desired, follow the ice thickness probe wire to the bulkhead grommet, which is the exit point of the back wall. Then pop the bulkhead grommet out, and I should be able to remove I never removed it. I would just, I had a ice machine cleaner, and I had a beaker, and I would let that sit in the beaker while it was doing it. Okay. I'm going to mix the solution of the Manitowoc ice machine cleaner and water, about 2 ounces of the cleaner to 16 ounces of the water in the container. Soak the ice thickness probe minimum of 10 minutes. Clean the ice thickness probe surfaces and verify the ice thickness cavity is clean. Going to rinse it thoroughly with clean water, then dry completely. This is the only thing that you're going to dry is your ice thickness probe. Okay. Then I'm going to remove the distribution tube. Loosen the 2 thumb screws. They're showing right there on the left and on the right. I'm going to lift the distribution tube up and lift them out of the thumb screws. Okay. I'm going to twist the barbed end until the tabs line up with the keyhole, and then I'm going to pull the inner tube outward, which is showing right here. Okay, that will allow me to clean all of that well. This is something I've got to do. Okay, now on a Manitowoc, there are one of 2 ways. Okay, Manitowoc either has a float switch, okay, or they have an automatic timer. But that automatic timer goes to the water line, and I still have to turn the water off and get it so I can get that water clean, because I will still get the gunk and everything in the line. So I've got to remove all of that. But if I have a float valve, which this ice maker had a float valve, I'm going to turn the splash shield counterclockwise 1 or 2 turns. Then I'm going to pull the float valve forward and off the mounting bracket, then disconnect the water tube from the float valve at the compression fitting. Then I can remove the cap and the filter screen for cleaning. So I can actually, the one thing I like about the Manitowoc with this type system, there's once I turn that water off, some of them even have a little slide that I could slide, and it shuts the water off. So I'm going to look at this before I do anything else. I can either turn it off there or turn it off at the sink or wherever it's at. So then I'm going to take and remove that float valve. Or like I said, if I don't have a float valve, I still have a line that comes in, because the water valve, it goes to the water valve. The water valve tells me how much water I'm going to get into my ice maker. So that may be something. That was one of the things that on a DC-33 that I really didn't like. It had a set time, and you could adjust that, but you still had a set time, and it would only come in a little bit. The thing about this Manitowoc is, as the water runs and I'm starting to freeze ice, as the float valve drops, it actually a little more water in. Okay. So one of the things that I can do, since I've removed all of this and I put everything in a bucket, the next thing I need to do is I need to remove that door. Okay. Because if you look at this railing right here, this is just a trap for all of the stuff that we had talked about. You know, your mold, your mildew, your slime, that'll all get in those items. And I can once I do that, I can remove the bin door and I can clean it all from the back side of it. So I'm going to remove the bin doors. So I'm going to grasp the rear of the bin door, pull the door forward approximately 5 inches. Then I'm going to slide the bin door to the rear while applying an upward pressure. The rear door will ride up onto the track, and the slide will allow you to take it out. You can see right there on the diagram right there where I'm talking about. As I'm pushing it back and pushing it up, I can remove that bin door. Okay, then slide the door pins off, and then allow the door to allow the back of the door to come off, and then I can remove it altogether. Okay. The only thing is putting it back in, it can get a little bit tricky, but you want to make sure that you're good to go, and that whenever you set it back, whenever you put the bin back in place, that it works properly. Okay. So once I do that, I'm going to mix a solution of cleaner and warm water. Depending on the amount of mineral buildup, sometimes you're going to have to use a bigger quantity required. So I'm going to use the ratio in the table to mix enough solution to thoroughly clean all the parts. The solution type is 1 gallon. So I'm gonna mix it's about 2 ounces. Let's see. No, it's 16 ounces to a gallon. Is what my ratio is. So that's what I may have to use 2 gallons of water. So I'm going to use 2 gallons of water, and then I'm going to use 16 ounces. So now 32 ounces of cleaner. Okay. So I'm going to divide the cleaner. So I'm going to use half of the cleaner to clean all the components. The cleaner solution will foam when it contacts lime scale and mineral deposits. So you just sit and let that foam away. Okay. Once the foaming stops, a soft brittle brush I can use, soft bristle brush. Do not use one that is metal. It has to be a soft bristle brush. You can buy those anywhere from Walmart to Lowe's to Harbor Freight. Sears used to carry them. You can just wherever you want to pick them up. But it's a soft bristle brush. Everybody that I used to work with was ex-military, and they called it a GI brush. So it was just a brush that had bristles that were not metal. They were plastic. Okay. So after I do that and I clean my components, okay, I'm going to let it go for about 15 or 20 minutes. And then I'm going to rinse all of the components with clean water. Okay. Then while the components are soaking, I'm going to use the cleaner solution to all of the food surface areas of the ice machine. I'm going to put a nylon brush and a cloth to thoroughly clean the inside of the ice machine, the evaporator plastic parts, including the top, bottom, and sides. Then the bin bottom sides or the top plastic, rinse all of those areas thoroughly with clean water. Okay. Mix a solution of sanitizer and warm water. The solution mixed with the sanitizer is 6 gallons to 4 ounces of sanitizer. Once I do this, okay, once I get to the sanitizer, I'm going to, this part of it right here. So the sanitizer, once I do that, I'm going to use half the sanitizer solution to sanitize all the components. I'm going to go through the exact same thing that I just talked about. I'm going to replace all the removed components the evaporator parts, including the plastic top and bottom, the bend bottom and the sides and the top. I do not rinse those sanitized areas. If I do, I've just destroyed it, and I got to go back and do the exact same thing over because once again, it will not inhibit any of the minerals or the slime. Okay, so once I do all of those components, I'm going to now turn the ice machine back to the wash position. Okay, the proper amount of Manitowoc ice machine sanitizer to the water is about 1 gallon to 1.5 ounces. Wait for the sanitized cycle to complete, which is about 22 minutes. Repeat the steps if I need to. If it doesn't come clean, I'm going to repeat those steps. So see, we're already at about 40 to 50 minutes into this. So you have to make sure that you're doing this and keeping everything for everyone to do right. So remove I'm going to replace all the removed components, reapply power to the ice machine, turn the toggle switch to the on position, and then I'm going to go ahead and before I start the ice machine, though, this is the one thing that you have to remember. That's for. How did I get 2 of those? Okay, so what will happen is it will now start to the freeze cycle. So it will pre-chill the compressor for 30 minutes, the water flow to allow the water flow to pre-chill the evaporator. Then the water pump starts after 30 seconds of the pre-chill. An even flow of water is directed across the evaporator into each cell cube where it freezes. When sufficient ice has formed, the water flow contacts the ice thickness probe, raises it up, and it will start a 7 seconds of harvest. Okay, the ice machine, it cannot initiate a harvest cycle until a 6-minute freeze time has been surpassed. So if it goes and freezes before the 6 minutes has passed, it doesn't work properly. Okay. So the other thing that you need to know, because some of the times it will get off just a little bit, I may have to adjust my ice thickness probe. Okay. It comes set from the factory at 1/8 of an inch. So I've got to be there, let it drop, and check my ice thickness. If I need to adjust it, I can turn the ice thickness probe screws clockwise to increase the bridge. If it's too thick, then I can turn it counterclockwise, and it will decrease the bridge thickness. Okay, so turning the adjustment screw 1/3 of a turn will change the ice thickness about 1/16 of an inch. Okay, so does anybody have any questions before we move on to the Hoshizaki? Okay, guys, if you have any questions, please go ahead and start, or let me know. Are you understanding everything that I'm trying to tell you? Am I doing it properly so that you understand? I don't see anything. Everybody knows that in the bottom right-hand side, you can type in what you wanted. Okay. Thank you very much. We're going to continue with the Hoshizaki. So Hoshizaki is a little bit different. Okay. So with the Hoshizaki, I can remove the top plate and then I'm going to have to pull the bottom where the condenser and the compressor are. I'm going to have to remove that. There are screws down there. So, and then if I want to, I can get to the back here, and it shows this is the picture of the back. Okay. This is something interesting. Do not place more than 33 pounds on the top panel. People are always trying to maximize storage space, and you will find that people will set stuff on top. It cannot be over 33 pounds. That's for the Manitowoc the Manitowoc I think is 45 pounds, but if you keep it under 33 pounds, you know that you're good. And the problem is you can't, whenever we have an ice maker, you can't lose the flow of air, because if I do, I slow my ice production down. So if I have stuff piled on top of this and it's in a cabinet, I've got to make sure that I have the proper amount of airflow that comes through. And one of the ways you're going to tell is if it's really hot coming out, you probably don't have the right amount of airflow going to it. Okay. So do not use the frame do not use the frame to lift the appliance. Notice it says life. That's one of the things you have to remember is this is kind of one of those items that's lost in translation. Okay. So lift the appliance from the base. Once I do that, I can handle the appliance carefully to avoid damaging anything on the exterior. Once again, I'm going to be very careful whenever I do that. Normal operating water temperature should be somewhere between 45 and 90 degrees. This goes for any ice maker. Okay. Water supply must be a minimum of 10 psi with a maximum of 113 psi. If it exceeds 113 psi, I'm going to have to put I'm going to need a pressure reduction valve. And you probably don't have that on your truck, but you're going to make sure, and that's for any ice machine. You're going to have to go and get one, or else if it's over 113 psi, it's going to leak. It's going to continue to let water in, and it gets worse and worse and worse. Okay. To prevent damage to the appliance, do not operate the appliance when the water supply is off or the pressure is below 10 psi. This is the reason that you cannot use a reverse osmosis system, because in a reverse osmosis system, it usually coming from the water supply is usually somewhere between 4 and 6 psi. So it's it doesn't have enough pressure. So once again, it will also leak. Okay. External filters. We've already talked about that. I need to have my filter cleaned and changed, depending on the area that I'm in. Okay. I really like this Hoshizaki ice machine. Probably whenever I have to buy another little small under the counter ice machine, this is probably the one that I'm going to go with. I really like it. Once again, this has a water tank. You can see that you have a silicone hose, an overflow pipe, and the ice storage bin. So this is all the items that I'm going to have to clean whenever I get ready to start cleaning. Okay. Once again, there is a daily, a biweekly, a monthly, and a yearly schedule that you need to do. This is basically for any ice machine. Okay. The daily thing is you have to clean the scoop. Okay. So you've got to use a neutral cleaner and rinse it thoroughly after you clean it. The scoop should never be put up on top of the ice machine, because what happens is you get all the dirt and dust and everything else and then you shove that big scoop into the ice maker, and I've just contaminated my ice. Okay. Like bi-weekly, once again, I'm going to check all of my air filters, which are on the whenever I drop my toe plate, I can find those. Monthly, my external water filter, it may not be monthly, it may be bi-monthly, but at least once every couple of months, I need to be at least checking to make sure that my water filter is working properly. Then cleaning procedure, I'm going to dilute 5 ounces of the recommended Hoshizaki ice scale away with 1 gallon of water. Okay. So this one is a little bit more solution, which is called scale away, to the same amount of water. Okay. Then I'm going to remove the air filter, remove the ice from the machine. You're not going to have any ice, or you shouldn't. But still, if I'm out here, I'm going to check and make sure that I have no ice, because if I have ice, I've got to throw it away or put it in a cooler or something. Okay. So I'm going to move the control switch to off, place it, open the door, disconnect the silicone hose, the drain, and drain the water, which is you saw in the previous slide. Then I'm going to reconnect the silicone hose back through to the correct position, and all the water all the water is drained, pour that cleaning solution into the water tank, remove the control switch and place it in the wash, and then close the door. This one takes 30 minutes. This is why I tell you that you have to plan yourself that so that you have the right amount of time. You can't butt these calls 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and I'll try to put it in 15 minutes, because as you've already seen, it's at least probably an hour for you to get all the way through and make sure. That's what I always had budgeted, was 1 hour for an ice machine cleaning. Okay. So if you look right here, once again, this one has a float switch. Okay. Then I have a bracket that I'm going to have to remove. Then I'm going to have my pump motor that we're talking about. Got my evaporator right there. Okay. So I'm going to disconnect the silicone hose and drain the water, reconnect the hose like we've already said, move the control switch to ice. After 3 minutes, move the control switch to wash. Once I do that, after 5 minutes, I'm going to move the control switch to off, disconnect the silicone hose to drain any of the water, reconnect the hose back to its correct position after all the water is drained. Then I'm going to repeat steps 8 through 13, which are showing right here, until I get it all clean. Next, I'm going to remove the water tank by pressing down on the snaps on the tabs that's labeled L and R, and pulling the tank forward. You slightly pushing it down. Be careful to avoid breakage when handling those parts. That was in figure 7 figure 8 that we saw before. Put the ice cube guides. You're going to take the ice cube guides, and we're gonna disconnect those ice cube guides. Okay, I'm going to move that forward to remove them from the water tank. Then they're going to snap into place. Okay, this right here is what we're talking about. So I've got an ice control bin switch. I've got the flap that where the ice drops down. I have my cube guide that snaps into place. Those are the part numbers right there, KM81BAJ. all of those parts for the water tank and assembly and stuff. Then I'm going to, one thing that I really like about this unit is that it is, I can rebuild the pump. One thing about anybody of the other units, doesn't matter if it's American made, Japanese, Korean, whatever. This is the only one that has a rebuildable pump and motor. I can actually get down and take everything apart and replace just the parts that are needed. That's what I really like. Now the ice drop zone right here. So if you look right here, that's where you see the circle right there. That's the smaller ice drop zone. This comes out the stainless steel construction. That's one of the other things that I like. It's a stainless steel construction. Okay. Then I'm going to remove the panels, separate the compartments, insulated evaporator section, rebuildable pump, small ice drop zone. You can go right here to this YouTube video and type. All you have to do is go into YouTube and type in Hoshizaki cleaning, and it will give it to you. So the sequence of your operation right here is there is a 1 minute fill cycle. Then it goes to a 60-second after the initial harvest begins. I get 3 to 4 minutes in the freeze cycle. After about 30 minutes into the freeze cycle, the pump starts cycling. Then 10 to 20 seconds after the normal harvest begins, and then this cycle repeats until the bin control tells the Icemaker itself, "Hey, I'm full. I'm full. Just start it over." So here is another YouTube video that you can start. Okay. So, does anybody have any questions? If you want to become proficient in Manitowoc, Hoshizaki, Uline, they all have classes that you can take and become certified on the internet. Okay. So if I go to www.youtube.com and I go and I type in, let me get it you right here. Right here. Perfect. Okay. So let me come back over here for just a second. I'm going to come right here, go over here to, I'm going to share you my YouTube screen. If you look right here, okay, here's virtual training. Okay, they have virtual training for ice makers starting March 18th at 9 a.m. Oops, sorry, we're already past that one. We'll have to go to another one. But you can go in and put in, like I said, let's see, MANA, Manitowoc Ice Machine. Let's not go to board. Let's go to Ice Machine. But you can come in here and type in, I think it's training. There you go. Ice Machine training. Right here it is right. There it is right there. And you can get them actually from Manitowoc and you can become certified. Okay. So right here is the Hoshizaki. You can become certified right there. So that's one of the great things about whoops, let's go back here. Stop sharing. that is one of the great things about commercial ice machines. You can actually become proficient in commercial ice machines and never touch a machine because it's all online training, a lot of them. So that right there, we're going to keep going because I actually have a where's it at? Boom. Okay. I'm going to do the same thing that I do every single time. I want to thank Encompass for providing this information, getting this out to servicers. And if there is anything that you want to see training on, please send me an email. My address is right down there, Mitch Williams 62. Oops, that's at Yahoo. I'm sorry. They put I did that wrong. It's Mitch Williams 62 at yahoo.com. That's my email address. If you will send me an email and let me know what you want training on, I have put in our second part of training, which is April, May, June, and the first part of July. If you will tell me something that you want to see training on, I will try to work it into the next schedule that I'm starting, which is the first thing on my next schedule is going to be a class on Magic Chef, one of their commercial sides, one of theirs. So one of their commercial refrigerators. So if you want to see something, send me an email. No, it's not Gmail. It is not Gmail. It is Yahoo. I will fix that right this very second while we're talking. Okay, let me see. Hide. Okay. Edit. Boom. Okay. Bang, 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 bang. Delete. YAHOO. I don't know how in the world that got done. Okay, now I'm going to share it again. And then, okay, that's it right there. This is the correct email address. If you have any questions and you want to get in touch with somebody from Encompass, please go ahead and send information over to Reggie. I'll tell you right now, he's a busy man. He actually is usually out of town. So if you text him or send him an email, he will get back to you. If you call him, you may get him, you may not. I have very rarely get him. What I have to do is, in fact, go and either text him or email him, and he'll get back to me. But if you'll send me an email on what you want to see training on, I will do my dead level best to get everybody exactly what they need. Okay. Does anybody else have any questions? Okay. I really appreciate all of your time. Be careful. Be safe out there. If you need anything, you've got my information. Go ahead and let me know, and have a great day. We will talk to you on Thursday. Thursday's class is on what is Thursday's class on? Give me just a second. Encompass Training. By the way, you can go to Encompass Training, which is https //solutions solutions.encompass.com /encompass-training. That will give you all of the new upcoming classes. Okay, so today is the 18th. So go scroll down here to the 18th. The 18th right here. That is the next one is lock ring, understanding the proper use and how to use the lock ring system. Wow. So they had one in Davie, Florida on March 17th. That was yesterday. So that would have been Tuesday. It will actually show you all of the information on the upcoming trainings, both in person and the virtual classes. And then if you scroll to about a third of the way down, it says upcoming classes. You can go to April. It shows all of the training that's going to be done in April. There's a seal system class between in Lawrenceville from April the 7th through the 10th. That is a pay class. That's $975. There also is a 2-day training on lock ring. That is one that you can register for. That one is also a pay class. That one's $500. We just had Electrolux come in, and they're the ones that did the I don't know what it was on because I wasn't there, but if you look right here on let's see, LG refrigerator R600 usage and safety, that's in person. That is on April the 11th, and it's a 9 to 4 class. There's an Electrolux top load washer. That's in the Cincinnati Training Center. That's April the 17th. So if you just go to that web address that I gave you, which is https://solutions.encompass.com/encompass training/ enter, that will give you all of the information that you need on all the upcoming classes. Thanks again. Have a great day, and we'll see you on Thursday at 3 p.m. We'll talk to you later.